The biggest obstacle between you and your dreams is not external circumstances. It's not the lack of opportunities or the difficulties of life that are preventing you from getting where you want to be. The real obstacle is within you, what you believe to be true about those circumstances. What you think about them and how you choose to react to everything that happens is what truly defines your success or failure. Most people make the mistake of believing that they need to wait for the perfect moment, the ideal opportunity, or even favorable external conditions. But in reality, what is needed to move towards your goals is not to wait for an ideal scenario, but to understand that what you do now is what will build your future. This mistake, often unconscious, is the main reason why dreams remain on paper and ideas never get off the ground. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, left a legacy of wisdom that teaches us how to deal with life's challenges in a way that puts us in control of our journey. He knew that what harms us most is not what happens around us, but how we react to these events. Stoic philosophy is a manual for self-improvement based on the understanding that real control lies in our attitudes, our choices, and our actions. As we delve deeper into Marcus Aurelius's ideas, we will see how the lies we tell ourselves about time, ideal conditions, and control over our lives are, in fact, the greatest enemies of our dreams. And most importantly, we will learn to undo these lies, using Stoic lessons to break down barriers and take control of our lives now, in the present. Many people spend their lives waiting for the right moment to act. They believe that something needs to happen before they can take the first step toward their dreams, the perfect job, the ideal house, the money they need, or even the motivation that will appear at some point. However, this type of thinking is one of the biggest traps we can fall into. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that perfection does not exist. The idea that ideal conditions will magically appear is an illusion that prevents us from taking action. For him, the perfect moment will never come. Instead of waiting for the ideal situation, we should act with what we have now, where we are, with the resources we have. What you have in your hands right now is all you need, Marcus Aurelius would say. When we wait, we fall into procrastination and inaction. We create an illusion that there is an invisible finish line, where everything will be easier or more possible. But in reality, life does not offer this magical moment. And if we wait, time will pass, and the chance to move forward will disappear. What really prevents us from achieving our goals is the thought that perfection is a condition for taking action. The key to moving forward is to accept the present moment and act with what we have. Stoic philosophy, as taught by Marcus Aurelius, challenges us to abandon the idea of perfection and embrace continuous action, even if imperfect. With each step taken, life is shaped. When we take action, regardless of the conditions around us, we are already on the path to change, and that is true power. Start now with what you have, exactly as it is. Don't wait for perfection, because it will never come. With every action you take, no matter how small, you are creating the path to achieving your dreams. Don't let the search for the ideal condition paralyze you. The only condition you need is the willingness to act now. Procrastination is one of the most subtle forms of self-sabotage. It is the belief that tomorrow will be a better time to start, easier to organize, or more suitable to do what we need to do. This illusion of tomorrow leads us to put off our tasks and dreams for later, creating a false sense that there is enough time. However, this view is one of the biggest traps we can fall into. Marcus Aurelius, with his Stoic vision, had a clear understanding of the ephemerality of time. He constantly reminded us that time is short. The illusion that we have all the time in the world prevents us from acting with urgency and intention. Tomorrow, as he teaches us, is an empty promise. We cannot count on it because the only real moment we have is the present. Procrastination is, in fact, postponing life. Every moment you decide to put off is a moment wasted. Procrastination, fueled by the belief that something better will come along in the future, impedes progress. Instead of acting in the present, We get stuck in the idea that in the future things will be easier, calmer, or more perfect. But the future never arrives the way we imagine. Tomorrow is an extension of today's inaction. Stoic philosophy, as Marcus Aurelius preached, teaches us that time is finite and therefore precious. When we procrastinate, we are actually wasting the most valuable thing we have. If we understand that tomorrow is not guaranteed, we will take a different approach. We cannot wait until everything is in its right place or until the perfect moment arrives. Action needs to happen now, because now is all we really have. The best way to combat procrastination is to act immediately. If there is something you can do today, no matter how small, do it. Don't put it off. Marcus Aurelius believed that action in the present moment is what really matters. Start with simple but firm steps. Each small step is a step forward. Tomorrow does not exist without now, and the only way to build the future you want is by taking action in the present. The relentless pursuit of comfort is one of the greatest traps of our time. We live in a society that teaches us to avoid pain and hardship at all costs, believing that happiness and success come with the absence of suffering. However, this mistaken view prevents us from growing. Suffering is an inevitable and essential part of the process of personal transformation, and trying to avoid it is denying our true capacity to evolve. Marcus Aurelius, in his Stoic philosophy, teaches us that suffering is an opportunity in disguise. For him, adversity is not something to be feared or avoided, but rather a tool to strengthen character and soul. He reminds us that by facing difficulties with courage and wisdom, we become more resilient and better prepared for life. Suffering is a chance to demonstrate our true strength, not only physical, but also emotional and mental. Avoiding discomfort is a form of procrastination. If we always stay in our comfort zones, we do not grow. When we avoid difficulties, we are, in fact, running away from the opportunities that life offers us to become better. Marcus Aurelius believed that true virtue only reveals itself when we face challenges with dignity and determination. Instead of seeking the absence of pain, we must learn to embrace difficulties as an opportunity for growth. Accepting suffering, or rather, learning to live with it wisely, is one of the keys to lasting success. This does not mean seeking unnecessary suffering, but understanding that challenges, difficulties, and moments of pain are part of the process. What Marcus Aurelius teaches us is that suffering helps us develop characteristics such as patience, self-control, and humility, essential qualities for living a full life and achieving our goals. Therefore, when you encounter difficult situations, do not see them as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to strengthen yourself. Discomfort is inevitable, and by accepting it, you will be preparing yourself for the next level of your journey. Suffering is not your enemy. It is your ally in the search for a fuller and more authentic life. We live in a culture that values independence and do-it-yourself. From a young age, we are taught to solve our problems on our own and to believe that self-sufficiency is the key to success. However, this idea that we should act alone, without relying on anyone, is a huge misconception. Even Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, recognized the importance of community and mutual support in life's journey. While the Stoic valued self-control and emotional independence, Marcus Aurelius understood that true strength comes from knowing how to collaborate with others, learn from them, and also offer support. He did not believe that the isolated person could reach their full potential, because interactions with others are fundamental to personal growth. Human connection is one of the pillars of a virtuous life. The idea that we should do everything alone prevents us from harnessing the power of support networks and collective wisdom. By seeking isolation, we neglect the opportunity to learn from others, to be challenged, and to grow from the feedback we receive. Marcus Aurelius, even though he was a powerful leader, knew the importance of surrounding himself with wise counselors and listening to different perspectives in order to make more balanced decisions. In addition, mutual aid is essential when facing life's challenges. The support of a friend, a mentor, or even a group of people with the same goals can be essential to overcoming difficulties and moving towards our dreams. However, this requires humility, the ability to ask for help and recognize that no matter how strong we are, we all need each other at some point in our lives. It is important to remember that true self-sufficiency does not mean doing everything alone, but knowing how to relate to others constructively and learning from each interaction. When we are able to balance our independence with the wisdom to seek support when necessary, we are better prepared to face any challenge that arises. So, instead of trying to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, allow yourself to seek help. The support of those around you may be what you need to achieve your dreams. We are not alone on this journey, and it is through our relationships that we find strength and growth. The illusion that we can control everything around us is one of the greatest sources of frustration and suffering in life. We try to control what other people do, how they think, and even the circumstances around us. We cling to the belief that if we have control over everything, we will be happier and more successful. However, this view is one of the greatest sources of stress and helplessness. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, in several of his meditations, that the only real control we have is over our own actions, thoughts, and attitudes. The outside world is unpredictable, and there are countless variables that are beyond our reach. Trying to control everything is like trying to grab the wind with your hands. It is a vain search. What we can control, however, is how we react to situations and how we choose to act when faced with challenges. Stoic philosophy, which Marcus Aurelius strongly advocated, teaches that we must distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. External things, the behavior of others, events in the world, the actions of those around us, are beyond our power. The only thing we truly have the power to change is our own response. Rather than fighting the uncontrollable, we should focus on what is within our control: our choices, our reactions, our behavior. This can be liberating. When we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, we can direct our energy in a more productive and healthy way. Accepting that not everything is in our hands allows us to live with more tranquility and less anxiety. True peace comes from accepting that we do not own the universe, but rather our thoughts and actions. And by focusing on this, life becomes more manageable and less about trying to force results. The key to inner peace, according to Marcus Aurelius, is precisely this: understanding that we cannot control what happens around us, but we can control our attitude towards it. When we accept that real control lies within us, we find the freedom to act wisely and consciously, without getting lost in the frustrations of the external world. So instead of worrying about what is beyond your control, focus on what you can change: your decisions, your attitude, and the way you adapt to circumstances. This is the power you have, and it is this that will guide you towards your goals. Most people fear failure. It is seen as the enemy, something to be avoided at all costs. Many believe that failure is a sign of incapacity or irreversible failure. But Marcus Aurelius offers us a different and profoundly liberating perspective. Failure is not the end, but an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. According to Stoic thought, failure is a natural part of life, and when faced wisely, can become one of the greatest sources of learning. Marcus Aurelius in his meditations often referred to the fact that, in order to become a virtuous person, it was necessary to be willing to make mistakes and learn from them. Failure is the lesson that life offers us to make us stronger, wiser, and better prepared for the challenges that still lie ahead. The biggest mistake you can make is to see failure as something to be feared or avoided. Failure, when faced correctly, is a silent teacher. It shows us where we have failed, where we can improve, and gives us the opportunity to correct our ways. Each time we fail, we have the chance to reflect on our actions, adjust our strategies, and try again with greater wisdom. Marcus Aurelius would encourage us not to see failure as an insurmountable obstacle, but as an opportunity for growth. He reminds us that what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee either. Failure, like difficulties and challenges, is part of the process of our evolution. Instead of allowing ourselves to be defeated by it, we should seek the lessons it brings. Each failure is a chance for improvement. Furthermore, it is important to understand that failure does not define who you are. It is just an event, a momentary circumstance. What defines who you are is how you react to failure. If you choose to learn from it, move on, and continue the journey, failure will become a valuable step on the path to success. Instead of feeling shamed or discouraged, learn to see failure as an opportunity to do better next time. Just as Marcus Aurelius did throughout his life, we need to adopt a mindset that sees failures as part of the process of self-discovery and improvement. Failure is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of something new. With each mistake, we have the chance to grow stronger and wiser, ready to achieve what once seemed impossible. In every process of seeking success and personal fulfillment, there are fundamental truths that, once understood, can change everything. Marcus Aurelius, with his Stoic wisdom, offers us a clear guide to freeing our minds from the traps that prevent us from achieving our dreams. The great truth is that the greatest obstacles are not external circumstances, but the illusions we build about what we should expect from life and from ourselves. The most powerful mistake is to believe that the perfect moment, ideal conditions, or the absence of difficulties are necessary to achieve our goals. The present is all we have. The only thing we can really control is our reaction to what happens to us and our willingness to act. Procrastination, the incessant search for comfort, and the obsession with control are the greatest enemies of progress. Therefore, it is essential to abandon these mistakes and act in the now, with what we have, and in the best way we know how. Life will bring us difficulties, and yes, suffering is inevitable. But contrary to what many believe, suffering is not a punishment, nor a sign that something has gone wrong. On the contrary, it is a silent teacher, which teaches us to grow, to be more resilient and stronger. When we start to face challenges head-on and see suffering as part of the process of evolution, our perspective changes radically. We are no longer victims of circumstances, but active participants in the creation of our own lives. Furthermore, failure is not the end, but one of the greatest teachers that life can give us. Instead of fearing it, we should embrace it as an opportunity to learn, reflect, and improve. By doing so, we transform failure into a tool for growth and ultimately a stepping stone to success. Ultimately, true freedom and self-sufficiency come from understanding that we are not alone on this journey. Collaboration and mutual support are essential to our growth. The idea that we must do everything alone is a myth. By recognizing that we are part of something bigger, we are stronger and more capable of facing any challenge that presents itself. The lessons of Marcus Aurelius, still so relevant today, invite us to take responsibility for our lives, to abandon the illusions that hold us back, and to seek wisdom in accepting the inevitable. Acting in the present, learning from mistakes, and embracing suffering are the paths to a fuller, more authentic life. With these truths in mind, we can finally break free from the delusions that hold us back and move forward with confidence toward our greatest dreams.